Topic videos: Freight Performance, Part 1, Truck Travel Time Reliability. The National Highway System promotes economic vitality throughout the country as part of a robust national multimodal freight network. In turn, the freight network enables access to national and international trade markets, promotes regional economic development, and supports industry and commerce. To ensure that national goals for freight movement and economic vitality are met, U.S. DOT established two major freight requirements: measuring freight movement on the interstate and addressing freight bottlenecks. In this video, we'll focus on Part 1, measuring freight movement on the interstate. This video is geared to state departments of transportation, DOTs, and metropolitan planning organizations, MPOs, that are responsible for reporting on freight network measures under Transportation Performance Management, or TPM. However, this video may also be helpful to other local entities impacted by the freight network and bottlenecks, and that may have a wealth of knowledge that could inform the work of states and MPOs. These include stakeholders such as port authorities, chambers of commerce, and other industry representatives. Federal law and regulation requires state DOTs and MPOs to establish a measure for freight reliability on the interstate system. In this video, we will answer the questions: what is the measure of freight reliability? How is the reliability metric calculated? When and how are reliability metrics reported? And why is freight reliability measurement helpful to transportation planners? What is the measure of freight reliability? Freight reliability on the interstate system is measured through a metric called the Truck Travel Time Reliability Index, also known as TTTR. It's a measure of the consistency of truck travel times from day to day during different time periods in a day. It shows the level of variability in truck travel times. A low truck travel time ratio means there is not a lot of variability in delays. It's a reliable road. A high ratio means there is a lot of variability in truck travel time delays, indicating unreliable truck travel conditions. The freight industry cites reliability as one of the most vital factors in transportation performance, reflecting the importance to industry of ensuring just-in-time deliveries. The truck travel time reliability metric is the ratio of the 95th percentile truck travel time, the worst truck travel times, to the 50th percentile truck travel time, normal or usual truck travel times. The worst truck travel time values are identified as those that exceed 95% of all other observed truck travel times for a given roadway segment, which represents travel times on the worst day out of 20 days. Normal or usual truck travel time values are identified as those that exceed 50% of all other observed truck travel times for a given roadway segment. High truck travel time reliability values indicate unreliable truck travel conditions, while low truck travel time reliability values indicate reliable truck travel conditions. Here's an example. You can see that the ratio increases as the difference between the usual and extraordinary conditions increases. How is the reliability metric calculated? The truck travel time reliability ratio is calculated using 1 calendar year of travel time data that must be divided into 15-minute averages. It is only reported for the interstate system. In addition, truck travel time reliability must be calculated separately for 5 different time periods throughout the day, as opposed to 4 time periods, as is the case with the non-freight level of travel time reliability metric. The maximum ratio of these 5 time periods is the segment's TTTR, the National Performance Management Research Dataset, or an equivalent database must be used for this measure. Once these ratios are calculated for each road segment, a truck travel time reliability index can be generated in a formula that is weighted by the length of the road segment relative to total interstate miles. There is no threshold ratio for the truck travel time reliability measure that states must achieve to be considered reliable. The TTTR simply calculates an overall ratio for the state that can be tracked from year to year. When and how are reliability metrics reported? States report the data on truck travel time reliability to HPMS by June 15th of each year. State DOTs and MPOs must establish 2- and 4-year targets for the freight reliability measure as part of the state's baseline performance report to FHWA. Failure to make significant progress toward the established targets will require states to amend the biennial report to document actions for missed targets. Why is freight reliability measurement helpful to transportation planners? The truck travel time reliability metric helps state DOTs and MPOs identify trouble spots on a region's or state's highway network. Since metrics are calculated at the segment level along roads, attention can then be directed to specific areas that the data show could benefit the most from improvement, which may lead to significant improvements at the corridor or network levels. Whereas capacity improvements may often be used to address congestion, reliability solutions typically focus more on transportation system management and operations (TSMO) strategies. When analyzing reliability in transportation planning, it's important to consider other factors as well, such as congestion. For example, a rural highway with limited traffic incidents could be uncongested and reliable, whereas a highway in a growing urban area may experience both congestion due to growing traffic volumes and unreliability due to traffic incidents. However, other situations, such as an uncongested highway that experiences frequent adverse weather, also may contribute to a reliability problem. Or a road that is usually congested may be reliable if the congestion is predictable. While both congestion and reliability factor into a road's utility, there may be different approaches to managing the system. Overall, improving the reliability of freight movements on the interstate system could reduce costs and enhance the productivity of industry and commerce in the United States. As noted previously, the top priority for the freight industry is reliability. A separate video is available that describes the analysis and reporting on freight bottlenecks, which focuses more on making strategic investments to address capacity problems at key choke points in the system. For more information, please download the companion resource on the TPM part of the FHWA website at www.fhwa.dot.gov/tpm/videos. Working together, we can provide strategies to improve our nation and people's lives through great transportation planning.